You know what was the scariest thing in my life when I was growing up? SOI. That's a Russian for SDI, the Strategic Defensive Initiative. So called the Star Wars, a program later turned out to be fake, but it was a program announced by Ronald Reagan, the American president. That was a, well, I didn't really know what it was, but it was a system that used lasers in space to somehow shoot down rockets, nuclear rockets, launch nuclear rockets, and use space lasers. In Russia, it was called the Star Wars. And it was one thing clear, that this system, SOI, the SDI, was planned to be used against peaceful Russians, Soviet people, against, us, against the families, against me, to kill us. Because Americans were so mad, impregnated with war, that they simply wanted to kill us. Believe it or not, but I actually had nightmares of a little kid growing up when I was 6 years old, 7 years old, early 80s. I was so scared. I had nightmares about this nuclear strikes and this SDI, or SOI, the American Star Wars. Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Inside Russia. My name is Konstantin, and I'm streaming live, giving you updates about living in Russia, the events currently happening in Russia. I am in Uzbekistan, but Russia is still inside me, and always will be. I would like to talk about very scary, very emotionally unsettling, very horrendous topic. Nuclear strikes, nuclear missiles, and possible nuclear war. Like I said in the beginning of this stream, I was afraid of nuclear war like you wouldn't believe. When the kid, all of us were, not just me, we were indoctrinated with this fear. We were taught at the very early age, and we were basically taught one thing, that the Soviet Union was a very peaceful country, was aimed at defending itself from the enemies. And the enemy number one, of course, was the United States. Bloodthirsty, war-mongering country, somehow wanting to kill us all. And the most sinister weapon they had was the nuclear bombs, nuclear rockets. And oh my God, that stuff was everywhere. Well, we didn't have much TV, just 2 channels, but trust me, they pumped that fear into our heads through the TV, through newspapers, through radio. And me, being a 6 or even 5-year-old kid, I was affected already at the time. That is absolutely true. I had nightmares about nuclear strikes. I don't want to die. I remember when I went to first grade, 1983, then the very first thing they started teaching us was, first lessons, so to speak, first days. They started us showing images of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, first grade. They were telling us how horrendous was just the idea of nuclear war, and what happened to people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that the 2 cities, Japanese cities that were hit. And of course they made sure that we knew who hit the Japanese, the Americans, of course. They emphasized, America has been the only country in the world to ever use the nuclear bombs. Well, every single class, every year, we were affected because no matter what we did, no matter what we studied, no matter what what happened, one thing was kept unchanged. That's talking about the nuclear war. Always. We had political hours, so-called political hour, political information hour at every single week in our class, and we were responsible. There were some people allocated responsible for creating materials and stuff, and trust me, every other week was about nuclear strikes and how we were peaceful and how our enemies wanted to kill us with use of nuclear bombs. Every single year after year. I was 10 years old. I barely passed 10. No, I didn't even pass. 2 days before I passed, I was 9 years, 363 days old when the tragedy in Chernobyl happened. You all know this word, horrendous. Basically, a nuclear reactor blew up, and there was radioactive radioactivity spread around the nuclear power plant in Chernobyl. 2 days after, I still remember the day. It was wonderful weather. We were playing outside, and then no one told us anything, but we had a celebration of my birthday. All my family came, our family, and I still remember that day. And then I think 2 or 3 days after that we learned that there was a tragedy happened, and they didn't tell us first the magnitude of the tragedy, but days after, I think towards the 9th of May, we learned, and we were all appalled. And you know what? The nuclear fears, they grew even higher because we understood what happened when a peaceful, well, so to speak, there were two explanations of nuclear energy in Soviet Union: the peaceful nuclear energy and war nuclear energy, military nuclear energy. Military, of course, with the bombs for attacking, and peaceful was for creating electricity, large nuclear power plants. We all understood that what the tragedy, the magnitude of tragedy that could happen but when the peaceful nuclear disaster happened, when just a power plant blew up, we all understood what could have happened when a rocket would hit a target. Okay, disaster. Soviet Union started falling apart. I was growing. Things were changing. One thing was unchanged. That's the fear of nuclear war. All the way through 1991, we were very, very afraid. That was one of the things in life that just was horrendous. In 1991, everything stopped. USSR was over, fell apart, and that was a big change time. Everything changed overnight, basically, and the entire paradigm of our country, my country, changed. All of a sudden, we learned many new things about our history. We learned that Americans were really not the warmongers. We learned that Soviet Union was much more warmongering country. We learned that everyone was absolutely terrified of us. Yeah, we were the bad guys, That was quite a revelation, let me tell you, but that's a different stream. we learned that there was no one to be feared, and that was a good feeling, liberating. For the first time in our lives, we understood that nuclear disaster was not in the works, was not in the future, and actually the future was actually very, very bright, very peaceful. And not just me, all my friends, all people I went to school with, my family, my parents, we did this big time. We exhaled, so to speak, That was a good feeling. And then a very, very great happened in my life. Well, I think in the life of all of us. The International Space Station, this new wonderful project that two countries executed together, working together, the United States of America and New Russia. The ISS was launched. And instead of threatening one another with nuclear rockets, nuclear bombs, we actually worked together in space, and a fantastic thing happened. I hope you all remember, I think it was 1994, 1995, that time when it was filled with so much joy, with so much enthusiasm, with so much, happiness. Finally, the new frontiers, this synergy created by working together, Russia and the USA. I remember, it was great. And I was thinking at the time, you know what? What a change. We took such a huge turn to the right direction because mere a few years ago, I was afraid of this nuclear annihilation. And now, look at us. We're in space. We're working together. And nuclear threat, it's gone. It's not here. There were all kinds of nuclear disarmament treaties signed up, and the whole world exhaled, I think. And then the nuclear threat was not in my vocabulary, not in my horizon, not on my horizon, not in my life, until recently. Until, I would say, June of this year, 2022. You all know what happened in Ukraine. On February 24th, Russia started attacking using regular conventional rockets, conventional weapons, soldiers, and it started rolling into Ukraine. And it started, as the Russian officials said, Vladimir Putin said, denazifying. I didn't really see any Nazis in Ukraine ever, but Russia started denazifying, according to the leaders, and demilitarizing, because from Russia's concern, the Ukrainian army was too militarized, was too strong, too advanced weapons. Okay, well, why didn't they just decide to demilitarize other countries as well, Anyway, so terrible tragedies started happening. The bloodshed. People started getting killed on both sides, in Ukraine and in Russia. We've been there many times before. We pray every day so the bloodshed is over. I'm not going to be talking about that. What happened was, right at the very beginning of this conflict, it was clear, in March, it was clear that something started going against the plan. We, Russian citizens, were fed disinformation by the officials of everything's going fine. But then, 2 and 2 couldn't be put together because they were saying everything was going fine, but then they were losses. Russian troops could not take Kiev, and they had to withdraw from Kiev and just go back, and everyone kept asking questions. What the fudge? Why did we, if we didn't take it, why did we go in there in the first place? What kind of plan is that? What kind of idiots were designing the plan? Real questions that Russian people started asking. So about late April, there were wild rumors that Russia had to end this operation by May 9th. Because May 9th, was a very significant date for all Russians. It's the V-Day. So it would be fantastic for Vladimir Putin to end this on the V-Day. And there were rumors that if it's not ended, then the full mobilization would be announced and the whole thing would be escalated. Okay. V-Day came, no mobilization, no visible escalation, but it was clear that Russian army was stuck in Ukraine. It could not advance any longer, and, well, it was advancing, but tiny steps, not as if had been planned. And then I heard about the nuclear threat. I still remember I was talking to one of the Russian people, younger people, and we were discussing the possible outcomes, what can happen. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, And then I was talking, and all of a sudden I heard, well, when, things might be very different when nuclear weapons is used in Ukraine. I said, oh, wait. What did you say? What did I just hear? Did you just say nuclear weapons used? He looked at me and said, yeah. What, I said, oh, so you didn't make a mistake. You think that the nuclear weapon can be used in Ukraine? He said, yeah, of course. But he said, no worries. That would be a tactical one, not the strategical one. I looked at him like if he was crazy. I said, wait a second. Tactical nuclear weapon, you think it's normal? He said, yeah, the Americans used it in Yugoslavia. I said, what? Where did you get that? He said, well, they said it on TV. Oh, facepalm, double facepalm, I didn't even argue with the guy. The guy was in his late 20s. That old feeling of fear of nuclear winter, this destruction of the world came back. You know how funny? Those memories that had been long gone, and you think they disappeared forever, for good. They're not there. They're still there, every single one of them. And that fear had always been there in the back of my head. It was just not in front of me, if you know what I mean. It was like in a warehouse, far away, in the deepest, darkest corner. And all of a sudden, if someone was just took it and put it in front of me. Oh, my God. My friends, that's not a good feeling. On top of that, I felt twice, 3 times worse because, when I was a kid growing up, I had this complete understanding that we were peaceful people. We would never use nukes. We had nukes, yes, but it was only for defense. And we would just be, defending ourselves if Americans decided to strike. And they could strike at any second because warmongering, This time it was much, much worse, and it still is. This time I understand that this is a possibility, a very serious possibility, and this time it's us who are warmongering. It's us who are bloodthirsty. It's us who will strike first, well, at least have this this capability, intention, from, I think it was late May, this topic of use of tactical nuclear weapon bombs used in Ukraine appeared a few times. And every time it was a very, very scary thought. It's kind of a thought that you want to just not to think about. Just push it away somewhere where it's far away. You just don't want to think about it. But hey, this is life, you know. And the thing is, people started talking more about it towards, the end of August, when Russian army, early September, when our Russian army started, how do I say that? Regrouping real fast and withdrawing to other places where it was needed much more, okay? It happened a few times. It happened in Kharkov province. It completely regrouped and went someplace fast from Kharkov region. And then Kherson, kind of same thing in parts of Kherson. The worse Russian army has been doing, the more talks have been about using tactical nuclear weapon bomb in Ukraine. What's the difference between tactical and strategical? Well, basically tactical is a small bomb, a few kiloton, and it's used next to own troops to break up enemy troop formation. I don't think it's ever been used by anyone except for in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but then there wasn't war. On the battlefield, it has never been used, thank goodness. And strategical nuclear weapon is actually what I was afraid of when growing up. That's a huge kiloton, megaton bombs that they can, fly long distances. They go partially into space and then they wreak death around large territories where they explode. None of such rockets has ever been used anywhere, and thank goodness. I hope it will never ever be used. But the talks about Russia using the tactical weapon, nuclear weapon, has been in talks. Vladimir Putin came out a few times, I think twice, and his spokesperson and Russian officials, they came out and said, well, it'd be crazy to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Russia will never use nuclear weapons. And every time they said that, it got scarier and scarier. Because I had heard that music before many times recently. They all came out and said in the beginning of the year, oh, Russia will never strike Ukraine. Are you crazy? And then weeks later, Russian rockets were flying, striking Ukrainian targets, military, civilian, by mistake or whatever. People were being killed, and Russian tanks and so were being rolled, were rolling on Ukrainian land, and Russian troops were marching in Ukrainian land. Weeks after the top official said it would never happen. Vladimir Putin came out recently, after that, I believe it was on the 8th of March, and said that Russian conscripts, draftees, definitely are not being used in this special military operation. And the very next day, Russian Ministry of Defense came out and said it was a lie, that conscripts were being used, some were being used, and some were killed. Well, it was public, both statements. What can I say? Now, they're saying Russia will never use nuclear weapons. Well, I really hope Russia will never use, because if it does, it seems like things cannot get worse for Russia than they are right now. But I think they can, because if Russia does use nuclear weapon in Ukraine, it's going to be, well, I think it's inhuman. I basically think it's inhuman. It's really hard just to like think about this. And I don't know what to tell you. Well, you see, some people in Russia are actually not as scared as I am when they talk about the use of nuclear weapon. And that bothered me. It really bothered me, because how can you not be? This is the worst thing can happen with humanity. This is almost a guarantee to complete wipeout. That's the end for us. This is the end of humanity. This is the end of, I don't know, international politics, everything. This is certainly the end of life between Russia and Ukraine. And how can you not shake out of fear when you speak about that? Because I do. I don't want to think about it. Every time I try, like I said before, I try to put thoughts of this thing away from my head. It's just too scary. I noticed one thing though. You see, my generation, every single person I speak to, we have the same reaction. We are deathly afraid of Russia using nukes in Ukraine. Deathly afraid. Plain and simple, okay? But then the generation that is after us, the younger generation, they don't have this fear. And it struck me. I understood that my generation, we were taught to fear the nuclear disaster, nuclear, winter, nuclear strikes, war. And I think it's a very good thing, because none of people in our generation, none of sane people would think of using nuclear weapons. But the thing is, after us, this generation doesn't have fear, because it never was exposed to this stand between the USA and Russia, Soviet Union, and it was not given this thoughts, this ideas, this information about how disastrous that such nuclear war would be. Okay. Therefore, we have a generation who doesn't have fear, who doesn't have responsibility, who doesn't have understanding, clear understanding. That person I was talking to, like I said in the beginning of the stream, he said, well, but that's tactical. But that's tactical. Like that friggin' matters, okay? That's tactical. Yeah, right. Well, recently I started going to bed and waking up. I usually go to bed with prayer, and I sometimes, not always, but sometimes pray when I wake up. And I pray of certain things. I usually pray of personal matters. But recently I started ending my prayer with asking God not to let this nuclear disaster happen in Ukraine, asking for not Russia not being able to hit Ukraine, and not asking for that not to never happen with us. I am deathly afraid of nukes. I think this is the worst thing can happen to us as species. If we start using nukes against one another. even if it's tactical, just like the nukes in Japan, they're gonna lead to it. Basically, the Pandora box will be open, and if used once, then guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed, that in future conflicts they will be used again. And then perhaps small tactical one, most likely, will in the future lead to large strategical ones. And that is the reign of death. That is destruction of the earth, because there are so many nukes, and there are some doomsday devices I'm sure by the three countries, China, Russia, and the United States. There are so many large bombs, and we have been so skilled at creating the weapons that can destroy us all that somehow we excel at, okay? So I am deathly afraid of nukes personally. I hope and pray that not strategical, not tactical ones will ever be used, not in Ukraine, not anywhere else. But the escalation has been growing, and the fears have been growing as well. It actually does look like it's possible, like it's real in the future. God, please save us all. Thank you so much. That has been my message, a very sad message and very scary message. I am actually full of fear about this. I will change my daily prayer here on this stream, and I will include asking God to not let it happen, and please join me. I would like to turn on the comments and hear your opinions. Are you afraid of nukes? And do you think I am exaggerating? Do you think I'm just worrying too much? Or do you also think it's possible? 2 questions I have for you. Thank you so much. The chat's on. Please use common sense before posting. Mods, Lorna, Mommy, Bob, Harry. It's going to be probably one of the more difficult chats, but I'm really hoping that people are taking this, commenting responsibly. Thank you so much. Mommy and Lorna number 1, Airborne Snail from Sweden, John Knox, Harry, Tim, B, Falcon, UK, Reese's, Dandelion, Nowhere Man, Sylvia, Joy, Lionel, John, Stu, Babs56, howdy, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for watching. How many people are there? 4,600, that's a lot. Thank you so much for... I wish I didn't have to do this stream. One of the few streams I would rather just go to bed, but what can I do? Pretty scary. Donna, thanks for the super chat. It's true. Gen Y and Gen X, Gen Z do not fully understand the permanent dangers of nukes. Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much. Good to see you, and I agree. Andrew Baker, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. If you want me to notice your message or comment faster and easier, please put @ inside Russia after sign, so it appears in large orange box. You will not see the orange box, but I will and please put your message in caps. John from Liverpool, howdy. Jeffrey S, Mr. K, what the fudge? Is it become a quagmire? Howdy, Mr. K. What's a quagmire? I'm sorry, it's a familiar word, but I don't remember what it is. Let me. Land with a soft, muddy surface. Difficult or precarious situation. Predicament. Soft, wet, boggy land that trembles under the foot. Is this a quagmire? I still didn't understand, Jeffrey. Well, I guess it is. Tom W, howdy. Roy, Lays, Richard, Lars Henriks. Yes, I'm afraid nukes. And yes, this will be happen. Aye. Black Cat, thank you so much. The best mods on YouTube, the best friends you can find on YouTube, and the best fellow viewers like me. That's for sure. You and Amir and Dawn are probably number one. Well, I can't say there are some more number ones, but you are definitely among the very top ones. Howdy all. Thank you, Black Cat. Thank you. Agnes, thank you so much. I understand you so very well, my friend. My childhood was very much the same, as we remember to this day. Traditional Russian slogan. Mop him up. I don't know what the slogan is. I've never heard this before. Mop him up. Would you please explain, Agnes? Max Muller. Hello from Texas. I'm praying for world peace. Thank you, Max. Makes two of us, makes many of us. Thank you. We will pray for that at the very end. Will be a very special stream. Will be a special prayer. Lorraine Prasnowski, thank you so much. Appreciate your help. Diane S. I've been terrified of nukes since this SMO started. Diane, it makes it two of us. I wasn't terrified. I was terrified of people when the SMO started. I was terrified of Russia's actions, and I started being terrified of nukes around June, late May, June, you know. This wasn't a fun message, but it is my 62nd birthday today. Whoa, singing time. Could I ask you to wish me a happy birthday in Russian, please? You don't have to sing. Well, I will sing. Tomorrow is my son's birthday, Jake's birthday. There will be a celebration in Maine, so you're almost like him. In Russian, I would say something like "С днем рождения," and we never sing in Russian. We do sing in Russia, but it goes something like this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diane. Happy birthday to you. Hooray. Happy birthday. I wish you many happy returns of the day. It's fantastic. Thank you. BL Pirog. I don't know why I'm not afraid of nukes. I'm not saying it is logical. Thank you. You giving me hope. Someone normal is not afraid of nukes. Good. Please, God, make me paranoid. Make me. It's me just like worrying too much. Please. Santa's Whiskey. Love the name. Thank you so much for the support. I was in Japan in 2011 when the nuclear plants went up after the earthquake. It's the fallout miles away and the contamination in the water that puts fear into you month after. Yep, I know. I also remember that Fukushima. I was actually in Fergana doing business here in Uzbekistan when that happened, and we were just speechless. Me and my partner and his parents. We were watching live as the water was coming up, and that the protection system failed there, and they were sending robots. I still remember that day very well. It was this time. It was this time, late September or very early October. Amanda, thank you so much. Did they go duck and cover drills in Russia like in the USA? Yes. We had this, I probably should have mentioned in the stream, but we had this class. It was called НВП, Начальная военная подготовка, Basic Military Training. And one of the parts of that training was to learn about nuclear bomb, how it was assembled, what it consisted of. I still know how to make a nuclear bomb. Every single kid in Russian school and Soviet school knew how to make it, how to assemble and stuff. How basic principles, how it worked. I still remember we had to duck under our tables. They every time they said, make sure that you face head away from the strike. Hands, the legs towards the strike, the epicenter. Like that's gonna help. So Amanda, yes, we did. We did have to learn when the bunkers were and so forth. I've been to the bunker where Congress was supposed to stay in event of nuclear war. It was creepy. Wow. Thanks for your support. Brian Crook, when will someone cure the human race of this madness, or are we destined to be exterminated, either conventionally or nukes? That's a good question. I keep asking it myself. I guess God is the only answer. Okay. I'm sorry, my friend. I don't know what else to say. Karain, those were atomic bombs dropped in Japan. Yeah, 2 bombs. A smaller one, a bigger one. Another casual observer. Thank you. I was 6 years old when Cuban Missile Crisis happened. We, the first graders, hid under a small wood and metal desk for protection from the blast. Wow. There's a very large support from Ian. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ian. Much appreciated and very welcome. The Kremlin cannot use tactical nukes as prevailing winds will bring most of the radioactive fallout to southern Russia. Not going to happen. And if the Kremlin did, Biden and NATO would retaliate in minutes. I pray clearer heads prevail. This is actually a pretty good message, Ian. There are 2 messages in one. The first, you're saying that cannot use tactical nukes because winds will bring radiation to Russia. And then you say that if they do, Biden and NATO would retaliate in minutes. I will say for both parts of your statement, what if they don't care in the Kremlin? What they don't care if what happens to the southern Russia? What if they don't care what happens to Russian troops? What if they don't care if United States retaliates? What if they just want to send the nukes and that's it? What they don't care about themselves, what's going to happen to them after? What if they think that they're going to hide out in a huge bunker somewhere? What's then? Okay? That really scares me because what you're saying is, according to the logic of common sense, yes, not going to happen. But this time, it has proven that the logic of common sense simply stopped working. Okay, not really scares me. Whew. Amramakis. Howdy, howdy. What the fudge, family? Nukes are a concern, but I don't think someone wants to end up in history that way unless there will be no more history at all after such event. My friend, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope no one wants to end up in history as the starter of all of that. But what if someone is just so crazy that he would take a pleasure out of it? Have you ever thought of that? So I can't believe I'm talking about this. 1 year ago, I was streaming of Gorky Park and VDNH and things was happening in Russia in a good way. And Lorna Mommy, you remember that? Oi, good times, huh? King Nero, with the new Helios laser weapons now, the US won't need nukes. They pushed up the date for the next spring to now on deploying those. Let's all hope it doesn't come to their use. I haven't heard of this Helios stuff, and it seems like from what you're saying, it's even worse than the nukes. I don't know what's better, the nukes or this Helios. It's just getting better and better. Thanks for the support, King Nero. David Sharp. Hi, Constantine. I think it's a possibility as him in charge becomes more desperate. You know him better than me. What do you think he will do? Will anyone stop him? That's the question I've been asking myself. A cornered animal is always the most dangerous one, okay? I don't know him better than you do. I don't know what to think. I can hope and pray, but I just don't know what his current state of mind is. What is the current situation? Because from what they're telling us, everything is okay. Mobilization, by the way, tomorrow, I haven't decided. Whether I either will make a stream about what's inside of humans, the Russians' heads, continuation of the stream yesterday I made, or they just breaking news. They ended mobilization in Moscow. Officially, they ended. They said no more. Whoever got served the papers, tear them apart, which is kind of absolutely crazy to me, but I don't trust those folks, and I might do the stream about that tomorrow. And yeah, right. Yeah, right. Very interesting message for 666. Not a good number, but thank you. I don't know the name. There's a circle. O. Thank you, O. Klaus Rothchenko. Thank you so much. No message, but this message is pretty strong. Thank you. Appreciate it. Dave's RC Detailing says absolutely afraid. Ludmila Hopkins, howdy. Papa Bravo, yes, very afraid. So it's not only me. Dirty Starlight, hi from London. I'm a bit younger, but in my school in the 90s, someone started a rumor Iraq was nuking London after lunch. That's funny. Poor teachers had to have a special assembly to calm us. Well, as far as I understand, Iraq never had nuclear weapons, never had desire to have nuclear weapons, never had capabilities. And this is kind of crazy. Tiffany Lazerna, I think it's very possible to happen, but I try to worry about things I have no control over. I try not to worry about things. Yes, me too, but it's hard. Magnus, howdy from Sweden. Toll says afraid. Bob, howdy, howdy. H-Boy 007 says the world has survived too many nuclear blasts. We'll get through it no matter how hard it will be. What nuclear blasts? You mean the test blasts? Okay. Dorothea Privanok, absolutely possible, likely. I'm terrified. Paul Richardson, howdy. Moto Tom, I'm very afraid because I think it's very possible, thank you. Me, why? Yes, I'm scared, but I don't think they will be used. I hope not. I hope not. Jan Allen, one of my greatest fears for the entire world, have sleepless nights right now. Over it, I pray it will not come to it, but I do fear escalation. Thank you so much, Jan. You're a very nice person. Beam, Russian TV have shown in graphic details how Russian nukes will destroy UK and all allies of Ukraine. I've never seen this. I've never heard of them showing. Well, then again, I don't watch much Russian TV at all. Dandelion, I can't imagine how they would survive 50 year nuclear winter in a bunker without going mad. Me neither. Living in bunker is not living, you know. US laser weapons, Helios. Thank you for explanation, Pino. Helios is just air defense. Please defend everyone. Xero Pro, Constantine, can other people prevent nuclear attack? I hope they can. I hope they will. Singamaji, the guy calling the shots seems like a family annihilator, where the family is his in case is humanity. D. Reitmer, at least Russia has bunkers for citizens. Who told you that? Where'd you get that from? Thank you for your help, Agnes. I'll try again. Oh, Miromir. Miromir, it's in Russian. Okay. We put as it looks like in Latin. I see. I'm sorry, my bad. Moopy moop. Miromir. Okay. Нет войне. That's what I was growing up with. Miromir, нет войне. Yeah. Our fun take of forced Soviet propaganda. I see. Thank you. Don't support rats. I am scared of mad. My president is from Reagan era politics. Did they teach you as a kid about MAD? No. I don't understand what MAD is. Well, MAD. M-A-D. Nope. Doesn't work. MAD is a terrifying concept. Something considered something with foreign policy. I think that's full out war or something like that. In an annihilation of the entire world. Well, I hope it doesn't happen, let me tell you. Oy. Not good. not so good. Mad. It's really mad. Holy B. I feel your fears, Konstantin. Putin's back it up against the wall, so he will not. So he will go to extremes on to win. Prayers from Florida. You see, Holy, at this point he cannot win. It's been lost. There's a possibility of doing it as the last goodbye, so to speak. You know what I mean? And I hope it doesn't matter. I hope he's not just alone. Well, it's for sure that there's a chain of commanders needed to launch it. And I hope people are not mad there. I hope they have sane, good hands, you know. What the fudge be? Welcome to the Howdy show. Black Cat. That's funny. Fiuma, sadly some crazy people just want to see the world burning. Hard to disagree with that. Zagika or Zagika. Greetings from Slovenia, Slovenian who is living in Moscow for 10 months, and I am subscribed for a long time. How are you doing in Moscow? How you find in Moscow these days? Has it changed? Because 10 months you were there for 2 months before this event. Will you please tell us? Donna, thank you again. Everyone in chat says mad. Mutual assured destruction. That's what I figured. That all out nuclear war. Well, I am scared of that. That's exactly what I was saying when I was saying, you know, that's strategical nuclear strikes. That the tactical can lead to strategical, and strategical will lead to mad mutual assured destruction. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Brian, a cornered snake is very dangerous, my friend. Thank you. Famous Mainer, howdy, howdy. In grade school, I too was shown and taught what to do in the event of doom. Now it is the doomsday plane that flies over that scares us more, and knowing its purpose. Well, I'm sure the United States has similar thing, either flying or swimming somewhere. JSK81, Russians like to be afraid. They are afraid all the time. That is not true. Russians are just as human beings as you are, and they don't like to be afraid. They like to be happy. And they're not afraid all the time. Rudy Kaisley, suddenly it's 1968 all over again. Seems that way. You know, I'm very sorry to say that, but you're right. Bobby Bad from Buffalo. I don't get to see the live much, but I've been watching for a while. You're a good man, thank you. We appreciate what you do. Keep up. I will keep on showing up every day. So thank you so much. Go Bills. Agree. Amber makers, someone would indeed be mad to cause MID. I've thought a lot about it. Kelvin, thank you. Konstantin, yes, agree with you. 40 years ago, I sat on a volcano in the middle of Atlantic and watched a strategic test. Wow. I hope that was the last time you had to see something like that. Klaus Tower. Happy birthday to your son. Happy birthday. Thank you so much. Tomorrow. Right now it's October 18th here in Uzbekistan. It's 2 a.m. 2:04. His birthday is on 19th. It's tomorrow. Thank you so much. Patrick Beardy, what you said about what if they don't care in the Kremlin is the best answer I have heard on this subject. That is truth. Big love from Canada. Stay safe. Love to your family. Thank you, Patrick. That's a very sad answer that I gave you. Oh, I just hope it's not true. Karen, howdy. It scares me to see your fear. I'm going to live like there is no tomorrow. Eat ice cream and pray with you a lot. Listening to this chat is fabulous. Thank you so much, Karen. Say hi to Maine from me, and famous Mainer, you too. Please tell the state of Maine that I love it very much. I missed a super chat from Klaus Rodchenko. Inside Russia, possibly lots of back channel talk going on. Possible, I have faith. What's the back channel talk? What is that? Back channel, meaning is it like between Russia and the United States? Well, I haven't heard of that, but I sure hope so, because that would be a sane thing to do, you know. Diane S., did they end mobilization because he's going to press the nuclear button? I hope not. Carmen V., do you think that the leaders have forgotten the accident at Chernobyl? I hope not. Klaus, I believe there's a lot of going on in the back channel. Do you agree? Possible? I just saw the super chat. If you mean the back channel, it's a secret line, confidential line between the United States and the Kremlin and the White House. I hope so. There's lots of talking going on, but how do I know? I haven't heard of that. Yuval, Saddam did have a military nuclear program. Well, I did not hear about that. They never found any evidence of that, as far as I know. A couple questions and we'll turn into prayer. Frank Winslow, do you think that the Russian military will carry through with the order? I do not think the West will go nuclear. I hope, if the order is given, I hope no one will carry it out. I just hope so. I don't know whether they will or they won't. They would. Machenka, how much do your religion feel in your life? Has it changed after the mess started? Well, I've talked so much about it in the past streams. I started praying publicly, and that's been a huge change. I started feeling closer to God. Yes, I started feeling His work happen instantly with me. Okay, that's pretty much the biggest changes so far that I have felt. Thank you, Lorna. No political trash talk. Luke, what do you think Gorbachev would think of the situation? Luke, thank you so much for the support. I would like to finish this stream discussing with this. Mikhail Gorbachev, I think one of the greatest leaders that the world has seen, and definitely the best leader my country, Russia/Soviet Union, has ever had. The escalation between the West, the USA, and Russia and Soviet Union in 1986, 1987 was tremendous. And this is what Gorbachev did, in case you didn't know. He came to power and he went to visit Margaret Thatcher, the UK Prime Minister, a great Prime Minister that the country had. And they had talks, and you know how it is. There's protocol. You know, the leaders must talk about certain things, agenda and stuff like that. And Mikhail Gorbachev made a pause right in the middle of a talk, and he took out a map, and he unfolded it, and he showed Margaret Thatcher, and he showed everyone, the Englishmen in the room, and it was top secret map with the locations of nuclear strikes of the UK cities in case of nuclear war. And everyone was shocked. And it was a top secret stuff with stamps by Russian Ministry of Defense, Soviet Ministry of Defense, top secret for your eyes only and stuff like that. It was real, okay? He showed and he said, "Do you see that? Are you seeing this?" He said, look closely at the, targets of our missiles in case nuclear war happens. He said, "Let's put the end to this already." And Margaret Thatcher was so moved by that right after she ended the meeting ended, she gave a personal call to Ronald Reagan, and she said, "I'm coming over right now. We've got to talk." And she flew to speak to Reagan personally right after the meeting. And she said, "You've got to speak to this guy. This guy is different from the others, okay?" And this is how the talks started. Mikhail Gorbachev was actually bold enough, brave enough to do this incredible move and start the whole thing moving. I just wish Russia had leaders like him again. I wish that... wasn't that great, folks? I wish we have a leader who acts like Mikhail Gorbachev. Darn, where is that such a guy or lady? We need one. I'm inviting everyone to finish this stream with a prayer, as usual. I'll make it a very different one today. My friends, I think all of you must join the prayer because, hey, it concerns all of you, not just the ones who believe in God, but also atheists and people who don't believe. It doesn't matter. Let's just pray for world peace, for nukes not being used. I think we all need it. Shall we? Dear God, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables and putting roofs over our heads. Please help our children, keep them safe and healthy, and give us wisdom to bring them up in a way that when they grow up, they will make this world a better place. They will do the better job that we have done, and they will never be engaged into a war with one another. They will not even know this word, war. Dear God, please stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out people who need to be reached out. Touch them in a certain way that they need to be touched, so they make this decision to stop the bloodshed. Please send help to everyone who's been affected in Ukraine. Please send help to people, to Ukrainian soldiers, to Russian soldiers, because it's a tragedy for everyone. Give them strength, recovery, give them calm them down, soothe their souls, please. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Please send angels to Ukraine and so they can protect every single one and put people out of harm's way so not one single drop of blood is shed anymore. I am asking, dear God, to please give common sense into heads of people who make decisions, big decisions, on whether, including the decisions on whether to use nuclear weapons or not. God, we have been talking about this for the past 1 hour in the stream. So many people have been discussing this issue, and we all are afraid very much. We all are in fear when we discuss this, when we think about this possible tragedy, possible insanity. Not just us. I think all people who think about this, they just are shaken. I am asking you, and we are all asking you, to please keep us all safe. Please do not let this terrible tragedy happen. Do not let nuclear weapons be used anywhere. Be used in Ukraine, in Europe, in the United States, in Russia, in China, anywhere. Please give us all enough common sense to actually talk instead of sending nuclear bombs to one another. Please, we need your help so much. We need you not to let it happen, and we need you to calm us down because it's very, very scary. Not a good feeling at all. Thank you so very much. Thank you for giving us opportunity to come together into this community and pray together. Please answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish true who is praying with us right now or simply watching us pray. Again, please help us very much. Just don't let this nuclear disaster happen. We really need your help and we rely on your help. So many of us are praying and asking you to actually not let it happen. Please hear us, dear God. I would like to ask you to send help to people who are on my list. So many of them have asked for different things. They have different problems and different things that need your attention and your help. God, you know better than I do who is on the list. You know every single person. You know their needs, their desires, their prayers. I am asking you, so you attend to every single person who is right here in this notebook. Please attend to their needs, attend to their fears and hopes. Answer everyone's prayer, answer everyone's request, and answer everyone's wish. Thank you so much, dear God, Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you. Amen. Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you for watching. Thank you for giving me a chance. You're absolutely awesome and you rock. I will have another message tomorrow at the very same time, at the usual time. And I'm closing my message with the words: Carthago delende est.